All right, peace everybody. This is Yusef. I'm back with another video. My second video and second video today. I just thought about something I really wanted to come in here and share with people. I've been some people know this about me, but I've been holding a lot of these. I got a lot of stories I could tell people, man. And the reason why I don't always talk to people about it is because some people's ignorance, right, and their mindset won't let them even listen. I don't care if people believe or not, but people won't even listen, right? So I don't even come out with a lot of information, but somebody asked me to share this, so I'm gonna go ahead and share this today. So in this video here, I'm gonna talk about my experiences with angels and demons, right? I'm gonna talk about my first experience with an angel, a real angel, okay, that came to me, and my first experience with a demon, okay? So to start this video, I want to talk about the angel part first. So around 2010, right? Had to be 2009 or 2010, right? I'm deep into my spiritual studies. I'm getting good, right? I'm manifesting a lot of things. Starting to understand who I am on a deeper level. I'm a few years into this spiritual stuff now. I've been doing some heavy practicing and meditation. And I started to notice in my life that when I would go to sleep at night, I can leave my body. And what I mean by that is I would be sleeping and I would literally feel my body, my spirit lift up out of my body, and I would land on my feet. Sometimes I would stay floating in the air. Sometimes I would just wake up in another dimension and know that I'm home sleeping. That's how you know you're having a real deep out-of-body experience, when you know that you're home sleeping, but you're somewhere else, right? So I started to drink certain teas and take in certain herbs that was really helping me wake up my consciousness on another level from just research, right? Stuff I've studied, stuff I've learned about. And some of the stuff took some time, but right around 2010, my dreams got more intense. And also, I noticed that I can get up out of my body, right? So on this particular night, I started telling myself, I was studying angels this time, really deep, right? And I was coming to a really deep understanding about them. And I said, man, they say that we all have an angel that's always around us. I want to meet my angel, right? I want to meet this angel that's around me all the time, or that knows of me, right? So I did some things. I went to sleep that night. And as I went to sleep that night, I remember a vibration in my body. And I remember rising up out of my body. It's like somebody was picking me up real slow. And I remember like, oh, it's happening. So I opened my eyes, I looked over, and I saw my wife laying in the bed. But I'm going up in the air, right? All of a sudden, I spin around in the air. I turn around and I'm looking down at my body. And then I fly into this dimension, right? When I get to this dimension, y'all, it is nothing but pure white light everywhere. It literally felt like I was floating in a white void. I didn't know if I was standing up or floating because I couldn't see under me. There was nothing there, right? There was nothing above, nothing. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, where am I? I know that I'm home asleep in my bed, but my body, I'm looking at my hands. I'm like, my hands are glowing a little bit, right? And later on I understood I was in a higher astral form. So I'm looking around and I'm kind of scared. I'm like, hey man, am I stuck? What's going on? All of a sudden I hear like a loud thunder crash, right? Almost like somebody broke like if thunder hit somebody's house and cracked their roof open. I heard that. So I looked up, with my hands in like a self-defense mode. When I looked up, I saw something come down real fast. Boom. And when it came down, it looked like a man, right? He landed on his feet on one knee. And he stood up. And as he stood up, I'm looking like this. This dude had to be about maybe 30 feet tall, right? 30 feet tall, something around there. Just from my own mindset measurements, I'm thinking this guy was up to his shins, right? His shins. I'm looking at him like, oh my God, like what are you? And he's about maybe 50 feet in front of me, right? So I'm looking and I didn't know what was happening. So I got on my knees, right? out of fear, thinking like I'm gonna submit, like don't hurt me, don't But I started feeling this energy from him that he wasn't gonna hurt me, right? That it was okay. I can't explain it, but I felt it. So I stood up and I'm looking at him, and my hands are like this. I'm looking like, please, sir, don't hurt me, So he's looking down at me real intensely. His eyes was like sparkle. It was like his eyes was like a ruby, almost like a ruby. I can't explain. It was beautiful eyes, right? I'm a straight man, but this was a beautiful entity, right? His eyes is beautiful. I can't explain it. Like when he turned his head, it was sparkle. His eyes is beautiful. His skin was like almost a little lighter than mine. He looked almost like he would be Arabic in the face, right? He was really tall. He looked really powerful, and he had this white robe on. It had a blue stripe that came down both sides of the robe, a blue stripe, and the robe came down to about his calves, right, a little below his calves, almost to the ankles. And he had these gold sandals on, and his skin looked like marble. It was so smooth. It looked so smooth, man. And he had a white garment under it with a gold belt on, and this gold belt was tied in a knot, right? It was made out of gold. I can't explain it, right? And then his hair was gold. It went back almost like a smooth Jerry curl. That's the best way I could describe it. It was like a laid down. It was like a laid down curl, right? Very curly, real curly. Some of the curls are short, but some of the curls are real long, and they went back like almost went down probably to about his shoulders. Gorgeous. I've never seen somebody with gold hair. Like, it blew my mind. I'm looking, and he's looking down at me, and he all of a sudden he put his hands up like this, and when he did, a trumpet appeared in his hand, and the trumpet went out like a spiral, right? And I learned later that in the Hebrew tradition, they had horns like that, right? That was very interesting. I didn't know that till later. But he had this long horn, and it went out in a spiral, right? And he looked, and when he grabbed it, he looked down at me one last time and kind of smirked on his face. Then he turned it towards me. He blew it. He blew it. I flew back into my body. And I flew back into my body so hard, the bed was kind of shaking, right? So I hopped up, and when I first hopped up, I laid back down real quick because I was so afraid that he was still in my room. Not that I was scared, it was just the presence of this thing, this entity, right? He had no wings, right? But I knew he was an angel. And later on, I had an experience with the same entity that came to me and told me he was an angel. Okay, but in this first experience, I didn't know at that moment, but I knew he was. And I thought about what I was saying to myself over before I went to bed, right? That I wanted to meet an angel, or my angel. And that night, I had that experience, right? That's one of many experiences. And from that night forward, I noticed that if I think about something deep enough, right, or even an ancestor that passed away, I can actually go to them, right? This is something that just developed, right? I wasn't even trying to develop this in me. It just developed in me. My dreams got more intense to the point where I literally could wake up in my dreams and be doing stuff, right? And then sometime I would float out of my body. So that's my experience with the first angel I met. And that experience felt so real, y'all. It's like me standing here right now having that same experience. Like, that's how real it felt. Okay? Like, I was really there. Right? So that made me study angels deeper. I got to start getting into Enochian magic and Enochian spiritual systems, and I started really trying to understand what this stuff was, right? Getting some out of print books. So, and then I learned about other angels, right? And I never really knew a lot about other angels because I was in church and they only talked about a few angels. So I learned a lot about angels after that moment, So that's my experience with an angel, all right? The second experience I had was with a demonic force. Now, I'm gonna just go ahead and jump right into this video, right? Okay, this happened about 2012. Me and a good friend of mine, who's also a magician, he practices spirituality, but he was more into the shamanism, right? A good friend of mine named John, who kind of strayed away from his practices, but once he met me, he always told me that I gave him energy. I really made him want to get deeper into it. So we would share knowledge and talk about spirituality and share experiences. So, you know, one time John was called me from work, and he was like, Joe, I need you to do me a favor because all this bad stuff is happening to me. I said, okay, what do you need me to do? He said, I need you to go in the spirit world. I need you to find my mojo bag. And I'm like, your mojo bag? I said, well, and for those who don't know what a mojo bag is, it's basically a pouch that you carry with you that has a lot of spiritual things inside of it that protect you, right? They're mostly for protection or healing. Okay, they also call it a medicine bag in Native American culture. John always called it a mojo bag, though. He said, I need to find, because it's actually two shamans that gave him some stuff in there that was very powerful, right? And he lost it. One day he just couldn't find it. And he always said he always put it on the nightstand in his room, but he woke up one day and it wasn't there. He said, well, maybe I put it somewhere else, and so it was just gone. So I said, well, man, I don't know if I could really just find it for you like that. I never went to go look for a specific thing in the spirit world like that, but I kind of, deep inside of me, I kind of like the challenge. So he's like, well, if you happen to find it, man, just let me know. Okay, all right, I'll let you know. So John had a sprung ankle. He was getting, he had ammonia. Like all this stuff was happening to him, right? And John ended up passing away because of cancer, right? John had a lot of anger problems that he couldn't get over, right? Stuff he was holding inside of him. And I did a video about the 5 elements being connected to your organs, and I brought that up for a second. And John ended up having liver problems, right? So long story short, I'm thinking about it all day. I go to sleep that night, right? Once again, my body starts floating up out of my body. All of a sudden, I'm just in front of this house. And at this moment, John had just moved to this new house, and I'd never been to his house before, right? All of a sudden, I'm standing in front of this house. It's storming, raining. It's clouds outside. I hear growling all around me, right? But I'm on earth. But I'm on earth in the spirit world. And that's, for those who don't understand, the astral world, which was a form of the spirit world, the astral world reflects. Parts of the astral world reflect this world, right? So if you watch the movie Insidious, some of that is true. A lot of that ain't true, but some of that is true. Where this guy can go to his house in the other side. That stuff is true. A part of this world reflects in the spirit world, right? So I'm in front of this house. There's thunder and lightning outside. I could feel the rain, and for some reason I had no shoes on. I had socks on, right? But I was fully clothed, but I had no shoes. It was real weird, I'm like, where are my shoes at? So I'm looking. I'm stepping in puddles. Puddles are like up to my ankles. I'm walking around and I hear growling. I'm thinking somebody got a couple dogs loose. So I said, man, let me get in this house, which had the front door open. Let me get in this house before these things come and attack me, right? And at this point in my life, this is 2012, I only knew minimal stuff on spiritual protection, right? Minimal stuff. So this thing, I'm hearing the growling, and as I'm walking in the house, I turn around, I'm seeing red eyes and stuff all down the street, and I'm hearing all this thunder and the lightning, pow, pow. So I hurry up and get in the house, and I remember I closed the door, and I locked it. And I'm like, why am I even in this house? And this all feels real, y'all. I want y'all to really, this ain't no just dream where I'm just going from scene to scene. No, this is real. Like, I feel like this was real. It felt real. I felt the rain. I felt the fear from the hearing the growling, right? I see the thunder and lightning flashing. I hear it, right? I'm walking on this dual hardwood floors now. It's squeaking as I'm walking, and it's wet in the floor. Like, this was a full experience. I'm looking at everything like, whoa. So all of a sudden, something just compelled me to go upstairs. As I go upstairs, y'all, I walked into this room and I saw this thing, right? That's the best way I can describe it. It had like the body of a bear. The face was all distorted, like the skin was peeled off, but it was like some kind of animal. So just imagine that for a second. It had the face was peeled off, the skin was peeled off, but it was like an animal face. I didn't know what kind of animal it was. So it's like bleeding and maggots and stuff is coming out the face. But it's looking at me real intensely. It's turned around when I walked upstairs, it like stood up and turned around and looked at me and had like horns like an elk or something like that. Some kind of moose or something. And the arms were, I don't know what the arm was, but it had these huge claws. And it was really big. It had to be maybe 12 feet tall, like real big. It was so tall it couldn't stand up all the way. So I was just walking towards me. He's kind of walking towards me like that, bent over. And it had a smell that was so putrid. I wanted to throw up. Like, the smell was so bad, y'all. It was just a really bad smell. And now this thing is walking towards me. So as it's walking towards me, I look real quick. I'm backing up, but I look and I saw John. Like, his face was blue. And I understood this thing was choking him. Right? This thing was choking him. So his face is all blue. He's over there trying to catch his breath. And I'm backing up. And as I back up, I'm like, oh my God, this is a demon. This is some kind of demonic force. Right? That's attacking John. Like, this is crazy, right? So the smell, he's walking towards me. He got like water dripping from him. His face is all distorted. I don't know what he was. He just all different kind of animals mixed together with a stinking smell. He's walking towards me and kind of moving almost like a monkey at the same time. It was real weird movements, like real spooky. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. So as he gets up close to me, I'm terrified. Like, I'm backing up towards a window. I'll never forget there's a window behind me. I'm backing up and I'm thinking I need to jump out this window. So I'm going to have to leave John where he at, man, because I can't fight this thing. The only way I'm going to live. I got to jump out the window. So I knew that I was dreaming, and I was like, man, maybe I could imagine something, because you could do that in your dream. You could imagine a shield or a weapon, but I was so terrified I couldn't even do it. So as I back up, I kind of started to turn my head, because when I looked out the window, I noticed all of a sudden his house, I was high up in the air. And I'm like, man, if I jump out of here, I might die. So I turned my head like, this is it, I'm going to die. All of a sudden, I felt like a force inside of me. Like, it just rose up. Like, it came up to my chest, and when it came out of my arms, my body started moving by itself. And when it did that, my hand literally went up like this. And I just covered my eyes. I didn't know what was going to happen, you know? So I remember covering my eyes like this. And I remember just my body, I felt a pulse, like in my body like that. And I kind of moved. And when that happened, I heard like a loud growl, like, "Roar." And when I opened my eyes, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. You know, I'm always truthful, so I try to be as truthful as I can. So I could sit here and be like, oh, I did some kind of, you know, what's the dude name? The dude on Marvel, Doctor Strange stuff, and got him up out of there. No, the truth is, I was terrified. I don't know what this thing was. This is 2012. And when I put my hand out and I felt that pulse come through my body, I opened my eyes and there was a bunch of white, like powder, all over the room. I don't know how I destroyed this thing. Back then I didn't understand it, but I understand now. But at that moment, I don't know how I destroyed it. I just felt something came and defended me. That's all I could say. Something from inside of me rose up and defended me. A part of myself. I don't know what it was, right? At that moment, I didn't know what it was. So it rose up in me and it made me defend myself. My body literally was moving on my own. Like, my hand went out by itself. And when that happened, I saw the white powder. I started walking towards my boy John. And then all of a sudden, I passed out and I woke back up in my body. So I woke up in my body and I stepped up on the edge of my bed. I was like, oh my God, that was like the worst experience I ever had in my life. And I've seen way worse stuff since then, but one of the worst experiences at that point in my life. I've never seen nothing that gruesome up close in my face before, right? So the next day, and that was the first time I had experience with a demon. And the next day when I woke up, my boy John called me, right? I was getting ready to call him. When I picked my phone up, the phone rang, it was him. He said, yo, you never guessed, man. You never guessed what happened. I said, what? He said, man, I found my bag last night. I said, what? He said, yeah, I found my bag. And I started thinking, like, this is crazy. I said, what do you mean you found? He said, I don't know, man. I woke up after I tore my room around. It was right there. After I tore my whole room up, it was right there on the nightstand where I always left it at. He said, it was just there today, Joe. I can't understand. It was just there. I said, wow. He said, let me tell you, last night I had trouble breathing, man. I couldn't breathe last night. It's like I was choking. But all of a sudden, I just started feeling better, Now, I didn't even tell him what I experienced that night before. He said, so man, I know you found it for me. Thank you so much. I'm like, well, I didn't actually find it, but there was something that came to me that I ended up fighting. So I told him the whole story, and he was just blown away because he said it lines up totally with what happened to him last night. So, yeah, that's my first experience actually doing battle with a demonic force. In my first experience, apparently I didn't know what I was doing, but the first time I ever was that close and experienced anything that evil and gruesome in my life. So, yeah, so I just wanted to get on here and tell those two stories real quick. And I hope somebody found it interesting, and it's going to make them do some research, because people actually, them things are always around, angels and demons. Mostly demons, because demons have easier access to this world. But I hope that made somebody want to do some research and made somebody want to study some more. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got to say about that. Until next time, think good thoughts, because your thoughts can become your reality. Peace.